Okay, so like, that feeling, right? Another movie, another strong female character, and she's basically just like a cardboard cutout, wielding a sword, spouting one-liners. We see it all the time. And today we're going like deep diving into this YouTube video rant that I found. I think it captures this whole thing perfectly.
Yeah, it's really interesting how this video, which is called I'm Sick and Tired of the Girlboss Narrative by Jester Bell, it's not just like a one-off complaint, Yeah. What I notice is that it seems to be tapping into this much wider feeling. It seems like a lot of people agree with her. She even mentions in her video how she's seeing all these comments from other people who feel the exact same way.
Yeah, it really does. It's like this collective eye roll through the internet, right? It's everywhere.
Yeah.
And Jester Bell uses this movie, Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim, as like her punching bag.
Right.
She does not hold back.
No, she doesn't. She calls out the movie on like a lot of things. The plot's totally predictable. She talks about how the main female character has zero depth. Even compares her to like a classic Mary Sue character. You know those from like fan fiction? Oh, yeah.
They're basically like too perfect, too good at everything. So they're just boring.
Yeah.
No one can relate to them.
And that's exactly what she's saying. It's detrimental to the cause of like genuine female representation.
Yeah.
It's like this overcorrection from the damsel in distress trope. Like we went too far in the other direction and landed in this weird, inauthentic middle ground.
Exactly. Instead of getting these complex characters, with their own motivations and flaws, we got these cookie-cutter strong women. And a lot of times they just feel like shallow imitations of like male heroes.
And one of the things that she points out that I thought was so interesting was how the love interests for these girl bosses always seem to be the same, like the forbidden bad boy trope.
Oh, totally.
It's almost comical how predictable it is. Like Trillian falling for Keely in The Hobbit, Rey and Kylo Ren in Star Wars. It's like a checklist for these writers.
Yeah, and it just reinforces this very limited view of like what female desire looks like. Like a strong woman can only be attracted to like a brooding, dangerous guy. It totally ignores the possibility of like a healthy relationship for these characters, like a balanced relationship.
Yeah.
Jester Bell even jokes that she'd be so excited to see a movie where like a woman's main goal is to find love and get married.
Yeah.
Simply because it would be such a departure from the norm.
Totally. I think what Jester Bell is saying here is that it's ironic. This obsession with portraying these strong women, sometimes it ends up boxing women into an even tighter stereotype.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's like this weird paradox, like trying to avoid one harmful trope and we end up creating another one.
Exactly.
That's even more limiting.
And it prevents us from seeing like the full spectrum of what a woman can be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
We need characters who feel real, not like they're ticking off boxes on a checklist of what a strong female character should be.
Totally.
Like we're missing out on stories about women who are strong and vulnerable, ambitious and nurturing, driven and compassionate, all these things at the same time.
Yeah.
Jester Bell even mentions Tolkien's classic love story, Beren and Luthien. And she suggests that a movie of that would have been way more compelling and nuanced than this War of the Rohirrim.
Right.
Such a good point. Imagine a movie that explores a woman's strength and resilience through the lens of a love story.
Yeah, it would be a breath of fresh air in this landscape of these predictable, formulaic girl boss narratives.
Okay, so bringing this back to our listeners. Have you experienced girl boss fatigue too? Have you noticed this trend of these seemingly empowering movies that actually end up feeling super hollow and inauthentic?
Yeah, because it's not just about being annoyed by a bad movie, right? It's about recognizing how these portrayals can actually shape our understanding of what it means to be a woman on screen and in real life.
Right. It's about demanding better, more nuanced stories that reflect the full complexity of like the female experience.
Totally. It's not just her though, right? Like a lot of film critics and cultural commentators, they've been pointing this out for a while. They're calling it girl boss fatigue.
Yeah, it's like everyone's kind of starting to see through it. You know, we're realizing that just giving a woman a sword and a sassy one-liner doesn't automatically make her empowering. Or relatable.
And it's frustrating, too. You know how these girl boss movies, they're often greenlit by the same exact executives who have a history of being like, sexist?
Right. Like, are they really interested in telling nuanced stories about women? Or is this just about image?
Right. Are they just ticking boxes?
Yeah.
Jester Bell even says, like, maybe this is just a reaction to, like, Me Too. Like these male executives are just trying to appear pro-woman.
But they don't actually understand.
Right. But they don't actually know how to write women.
So it's less about genuine representation and more about avoiding criticism.
Totally. It's like corporate performative allyship.
Exactly.
And a lot of times feels like these movies are still trying to appeal to like a male gaze.
Yeah.
Even when they're supposed to be about female empowerment.
Think about the costumes, like the fight scenes. The way these strong women are still like hypersexualized.
It's not about showing genuine strength, you know? It's more about catering to like a male fantasy of what a powerful woman should be.
Yeah, and it all just reinforces this idea that a woman's value is still tied to her appearance.
Right.
And her ability to appeal to men.
Yeah, and it's like we're taking one step forward and two steps back. We're trying to create these strong female characters, but we're still trapping them in this very like narrow box that's male defined.
And that's exactly what Jester Bell is saying. Like, she wants to see women who are allowed to be complex, flawed, even romantically inclined, without it taking away from their strength or their worth.
Yeah, and she's not alone in that. Like, think about the response to movies like Little Women or Lady Bird. Audiences want these stories that explore the full experience of being a woman.
Movies that show women as they actually are. Messy, ambitious, vulnerable, funny-loving, all these things all at once.
Right. And it's not about saying that every single female character has to be like a certain way.
Right.
It's just about having the freedom to tell different stories about women.
Jester Bell even brings up Eowyn from The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah.
And how she might be criticized today. Just because audiences are so tired of this formula.
It's like we're so used to seeing these one-dimensional strong women that we've forgotten how to appreciate a genuinely well-developed character. Even when she's right there in front of us.
It's almost like this oversaturation of the girl boss has created this backlash where any attempt to show a strong woman is immediately met with cynicism.
And that discourages writers and studios from trying new things. You know, they're afraid to deviate from the formula because they don't want to be accused of not being feminist enough.
It's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Totally.
Where the fear of being criticized leads to more of the same stuff.
Yeah, and then that leads to more audience fatigue.
And it just keeps going.
And Jester Bell is reminding us that we need to break free from this cycle. Like, we need to push for more nuanced, more authentic, more diverse representations of women on screen.
We need stories that reflect the full complexity of like what it means to be a woman.
Right.
Not just this tiny little sliver that Hollywood keeps showing us.
And it's not just about entertainment either. Like, it's about recognizing that the stories that we tell, they have a real impact on how we see the world and ourselves.
They shape our understanding of what's possible, what's desirable.
It's normal.
Yeah. And if the only stories we see are these girl boss narratives,
then that's a problem.
Right. We're getting this very limited and harmful message about what it means to be a woman.
Jester Bell is calling for something more, you know, something that challenges us, inspires us, makes us see the world in a new way.
And I think a lot of people feel that, even if they haven't really put it into words.
Totally.
It's like this feeling of enough is enough.
Right.
We're tired of the same old stuff. We want something different.
And that something different, it doesn't have to be crazy or anything.
Right.
It can be as simple as telling a story about a woman who is strong and vulnerable, ambitious and nurturing, driven and compassionate.
Like all those things at the same time.
Right.
Not just one or the other.
It can be as simple as showing a woman who wants to find love and get married.
Yeah.
And not making it like a weakness or a failure.
Just a normal human desire.
It can be as simple as letting a woman be a full person.
Right.
You know, with all the complexities and contradictions that come with that.
This video has sparked so many conversations online.
Yeah.
And it's clear that this girl boss fatigue is real.
People are tired of seeing these characters who are like super competent, one-dimensional.
Like they only exist to prove that women can be just as good as men.
Right.
And people are craving something more.
They want something relatable.
Yeah, something that actually reflects the real experience of being a woman.
It's about moving beyond this idea of empowerment and embracing the full spectrum of being a woman.
Recognizing that strength can be a lot of different things.
Yeah.
That vulnerability, compassion, a desire for love and connection.
These aren't weaknesses.
No.
They're part of what makes us human.
We need Hollywood to start telling stories that show all of that.
Right. Stories that show women in all their
complicated,
multifaceted glory. And it's interesting how Jester Bell connects this whole girl boss thing back to like how women have always been shown in movies and stuff. You know, for decades, it was either the damsel in distress or the evil temptress.
Right. Like this weird binary where women were either totally helpless and pure or manipulative and dangerous.
And then feminism starts gaining traction, right? And there's this push to create strong female characters to break free from those stereotypes.
Yeah, which makes sense in theory. But like you said, it seems like Hollywood took that idea and ran with it.
In a very specific direction.
In a very specific and formulaic direction.
Yeah, exactly. Instead of getting these complex characters who don't fit neatly into any box, we just get this new stereotype, the girl boss.
Who, ironically, often ends up being just as flat and unrealistic as the trope she was supposed to replace.
Totally. It's like we traded one prison for another. Instead of being stuck in a tower, she's now trapped in this, like, hyper-competent, emotionally distant persona.
And it's not just about the characters themselves.
Yeah?
It's also about the stories.
The storylines.
Yeah.
The themes.
Yeah. Like, it's always the lone woman fighting this corrupt system.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
leading a rebellion, never making a mistake.
Yeah. It's this very masculine idea of a hero, but like repackaged as female empowerment. And it ignores all the other ways that women can be strong and make a difference.
Jester Bell even compares some of these movies to, like, a 12-year-old's fan fiction.
Oh, yeah.
Which is so funny, but also kind of true.
Yeah, there's this sense of immaturity, like wish fulfillment.
It makes the whole thing feel cringy.
And it all comes back to, like, who's telling these stories? Why are they telling them? Are they actually trying to show what it's like to be a woman? Or are they just trying to make money off a trend?
That's what her rant really boils down to. Like, she's not saying women shouldn't be strong or ambitious. She's just asking for more nuance, more depth, more honesty.
Yeah.
And the way women are portrayed on screen.
She even jokes that she would be so happy to see a movie where, like, the main goal is to find love and get married.
Yeah.
Just because it would be so different from all the girl boss stuff we usually see.
I love that. It shows how narrow this idea of female empowerment has become.
Totally.
Like, there's so many other stories about women that we haven't seen yet.
Right. Stories that explore all the different things women want.
Yeah. Their ambitions, their experiences.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into Jester Bell's rant, we want to leave you with this. What kind of stories about women do you want to see?
What are the stories that are missing?
Because at the end of the day, it's up to us, the viewers, to demand more from Hollywood. We can support the people who are telling these nuanced stories. Right. And we can be vocal about wanting something different.
Yeah. Representation matters.
Yeah.
The stories we see affect how we see the world.
And it's time for those stories to show how amazing and complex women really are.
That's it for this deep dive. We'll see you next time.